Hey guys, I want to talk to you about the addiction of under-earning and how we get into these compulsive habits of denying ourselves a decent chance at leading a prosperous life. So if you're abused as a child, it doesn't have to just be sexually, but you're continually yelled at, put down, denigrated, weren't appreciated, didn't learn to connect normally with other people, then the odds are pretty strong that you're going to become an addict. So we are wired to connect. And if we don't connect normally with other people, we're going to start connecting to a process or to a substance. So a process could be a gambling addiction. Process could be a porn addiction. Process could be a sports addiction. Substances obviously include alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, food. These can all be addictions. So this is a terrific book. It's by Jerry Mundis, Earn What You Deserve. How to Stop Underearning, Start Thriving. And it's probably the unofficial textbook in both Debtors Anonymous and Underearners Anonymous. And what's the main difference between Debtors Anonymous and Underearners Anonymous? Focus in Debtors Anonymous is on how you manage your money. So one of the tools is you track every penny you spend, every penny you earn. In Underearners Anonymous, the focus is on how you spend your time. So just like an attorney, you track your time. And you don't have to do it perfectly. You just write it down on a napkin. That's far better than nothing and helps you to get clear about how you spend your time, which is a finite resource. And are you spending plenty of time working towards your vision? And do you even have a vision for how you want your life? So does parents divorcing when you were 7 count as abuse? Very possibly. So if you're in these streams, chances are you suffered a lot of abuse as a kid and you have some destructive emotional compulsions and no vision. That's a big problem. So maybe we'll get to vision pages. So I remember one of the first meetings that I went to, there's anything related to this topic. I went into that meeting and it just changed my life. It was a vision meeting. And one of the first things we did is we went around the room and everyone shared for 30 seconds about something that they were working towards. And so goals pages is one of the tools of Underearners Anonymous. It's also a tool of Debtors Anonymous. It's a tool of other 12-step programs. But let's just get clear about earning what you deserve. Do you have problems with earning and sustaining prosperity? And let's just go to the first page. Are you usually in debt? That's a good sign that you're an under-earner. Do you have little money in savings and few assets? You're often in financial crisis. You often feel stress, pain, and fear over money. Do you do a lot of unpaid work? Do you volunteer for charities or just give away your time? Do you have only a vague idea what your expenses are? Do you make do with clothes and possessions that are old, worn out, and insufficient? You're certain something will come along to ease your financial situation. Do you fear spending money and feel resentful when you must, but sometimes you go on buying binges? Do you believe that money will solve all your problems? So these are some of the symptoms of under-earning according to this book by Jerry Mundis. And this book really helped me out. So hark, those are the footfalls of a messenger. Pain is the messenger. Okay, so what messages is life sending you right now? Because that would be the most painful parts of your life. Okay, whether it comes to money or love or human relationships or health, these are all messengers. Okay, so Texas says, I know I'm scarred by my parents' divorce. It's affected my relationships, way too attached to girlfriends. So I guarantee you, Texas, that you're a love addict. You may well be a porn addict and a sex addict as well, but you get high when you think about being in love or having someone who loves you. And it's intoxicating and it brings you out of your chronic, probably dysthymia, low-grade depression. So if you're way too attached to your girlfriends, That's going to put too much weight on the relationships, make it impossible for you to sustain long-term relationships, leaving you isolated. If you obsess over relationships, if you think a great deal about them, if you put too much weight on them helping you to buck up, if you only feel at ease and happy when you're in a romantic and sexual relationship, then you're probably a sex and love addict. And let's just get clear, because Texas here is my friend, so I want to get clear on this. So Texas, tell me how many of these you answer yes to. If I was to go back over the course of my life, at some point I would answer yes to at least 32 of the following 40 questions. So Texas, have you ever tried to control how much sex you have or how often you would see someone? Do you find yourself unable to stop seeing a specific person, even though you know that seeing this person is destructive to you? So yeah, I've gotten into relationships that are incredibly sexual, but I knew the person was destructive for me, and I couldn't stop. Do you feel that you don't want anyone to know about your sexual or romantic activities? Do you feel you need to hide these activities from others, from friends, family, co-workers, counselors, etc.? You get high from sex and romance, and then do you crash? Have you had sex at inappropriate times, in inappropriate places, with inappropriate people? Do you make promises to yourself or rules for yourself concerning your sexual or romantic or masturbatory behavior that you find you cannot follow? Have you had sex with someone that you didn't want to have sex with? Do you believe that sex and/or a relationship will make your life bearable? Have you felt that you had to have sex? Do you believe that someone can fix you? And pretty much answered yes to all of these questions for some periods of my life. Do you keep a list, written or otherwise, of the number of sexual partners you've had? Do you feel desperation or uneasiness when you're away from your lover or sexual partner? Have you lost count of the number of sexual partners you've had? Do you feel desperate about your need for a lover, for a sexual fix, for a future mate? Have you or do you have sex regardless of the consequences, such as the threat of being caught, the risk of contracting disease? Do you find that you have a pattern of repeating bad relationships? Do you feel that your only or major value in a relationship is your ability to perform sexually or to provide an emotional fix? Do you feel like a lifeless puppet unless there is someone around with whom you can flirt? You feel that you're not really alive unless you're with your sexual or romantic partner? Do you feel entitled to sex? You find yourself in a relationship that you cannot leave? Have you ever threatened your financial stability or standing in the community by pursuing a sexual partner? You believe that the problems in your love life result not from having enough of or the right kind of sex, or from continuing to remain with the wrong person? Have you ever had a serious relationship threatened or destroyed because of outside sexual activity? Do you feel like your life would have no meaning without a love relationship or without sex? Do you feel that you would have no identity if you were not someone's lover? Do you find yourself flirting or sexualizing with someone even if you do not mean to? Yeah, I've often had that problem, just compulsively flirting. Does your sex and romantic behavior affect your reputation? Do you have sex and relationships to try to deal with or to escape from life's problems? Do you feel uncomfortable about your masturbation because of the frequency with which you masturbate, the fantasies you engage in, the props you use, and/or the places you do it in? You engage in the practices of voyeurism, exhibitionism in ways that bring you discomfort and pain. You find yourself needing greater and greater variety and energy in your sexual or romantic activities just to achieve an acceptable level of physical and emotional relief. Do you need to have sex or fall in love to feel like a real man? You feel that your sexual and romantic behavior is about as rewarding as hijacking a revolving door. Are you jaded? Are you unable to concentrate on other areas of your life because of thoughts or feelings you're having about another person or about sex? You find yourself obsessing about a specific person or sexual act, even though these thoughts bring pain, craving, or discomfort? If you ever wish you could stop or control your sexual and romantic activities for a given period of time, if you ever wish you could be less emotionally dependent. You find the pain in your life increasing no matter what you do. Are you afraid that deep down you are unacceptable? You feel that you lack dignity and wholeness. Do you feel that your sexual and romantic life affects your spiritual life in a negative way? You feel your life is unmanageable because of your sexual and romantic behavior or your excessive dependency needs? And finally, have you thought that there might be more you could do with your life? You're not so driven by sexual and romantic pursuits. So if you got a sex and love addiction, you're unlikely to gain major traction with your career and with other aspects of your life. And Savoni says, Jewish money tips are the best money tips. And Sargon wants me to talk about the Yidden. And Doisy Vola says, I think Lucas convinced me that Jews are nowhere near as large a problem as the alt-right makes them out to be. And Texas says 29 out of 40. Okay, dude, you need to get to a 12-step program. So if you feel like your major problem is, say, voyeurism, you're molesting people, you're committing crimes, you're exposing yourself publicly, then get to a program like Sex Addicts Anonymous or Sexual Compulsives Anonymous. If you're gay and you're hooking up with people in bathhouses, those would be the two programs. If you want a fundamentalist approach, such as sex only within the context of marriage, so an approach that Orthodox Jews like, that religious Christians like, then Sexaholics Anonymous. If you want to look at it more in the context of relationships and being obsessed with relationships, then a program like Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. And then there are other programs that touch on this, such as Al-Anon and Codependence Anonymous. So, yeah, stop masturbating, go to Vienna, start your painting career. Okay, pain is the first messenger. So that's what tells you something was wrong. So if you're panicking about money, about your debt, about your career, about your lack of vision, you might be an under-earner. So this isn't about working harder or living frugally. This is about under-earning. And you don't have to under-earn anymore. So Jerry Mundis writes, I first heard Walter say that pain is the messenger in a room full of people who didn't drink or take drugs. Something else Walter used to say, the lesson will be repeated until it is learned. And Jerry Mundis says his life kept getting better, but he continually had this problem with under-earning, problem staying solvent, and problem with living his vision. So that's what led him to learning about under-earning. To under-earn is to repeatedly gain less income than you need or than would be beneficial, usually for no apparent reason and despite your desire to do otherwise. Okay, so there's passive and active under-earning. So let's deal with active under-earning. Seeking work for which you are not qualified, making unreasonable demands on an employer or client, spending time on projects or activities that will make little or no money, like streaming, incurring heavy expenses, botching a job, telling prospective clients or employers that you don't know how to do what they want to hire you for, behaving obnoxiously or offensively on the job or with clients, accepting work you know will pay you less than you need, making promises you can't fulfill, exhausting yourself during non-working hours, investing more time on the job than you're being paid to invest. And Texas says, I've been single for 8 years. I want to be in a relationship and have a family, but I don't want to destroy the relationship before it starts with my personal demons. I don't want to cause pain. Bro, you need to get to your nearest Al-Anon meeting or Sex Addicts meeting or Love Addicts Anonymous meeting. Get there. Okay, passive under-earning. High-paying job working in porn will very likely eat away at your self-esteem, destroy your social standing, harm your relationship with your friends, your community, and your family, and your religion. And there's not much of a way to like leverage it to get a job outside of the industry. Okay, passive underearning, ignoring or blinding yourself to an opportunity, failing to request a raise, not knowing what your expenses are, not attempting something unless you're positive it will work, failing to fulfill responsibilities, not increasing fees, not making sales calls, waiting for something to happen that will make things better, not capitalizing on skills and abilities, failing to wonder if there's anything you could do to make more money, not drawing up a business or personal career plan, feeling that everything results from fate, that there's nothing you can do to change it, and failing truly to test that belief. Luke provides nuance, but then I read Cicero, Tacitus, Aquinas, Voltaire, Pope Clement III, Wagner, Dostoevsky, Ford, Mencken, and Pound. Not Power says, wow, I've always lived in poverty, giving everything away to church or family. I had no idea this was a disorder. Sir, this is a disorder that may very well kill you. Okay? I'm speaking dead serious here. This will kill you. You don't get a handle on it. This will kill you. The end of all addictions is death. They don't always end in death. Often your addiction will be satisfied with just making you completely miserable. But underearning can kill you. You may work so hard that as you're driving along, you think, oh, if I could only get into a moderate car accident, then I could have a few days to rest. And that could lead you to make one bad decision that kills you. Underearning can kill you, very likely will kill you. It's probably killed people you know. Wake up. I've been taught that keeping anything for myself is selfish. Dude, you got to get to an Al-Anon meeting, an Underearners Anonymous meeting. Don't live in despair and loneliness and failure and disconnection and this kind of compulsive disorder any longer. Do something about it today. Okay, let's go to the Underearners Anonymous website. That's underearnersanonymous.org. Let's talk about the symptoms of underearning. Okay, so one is time indifference. We put off what must be done and do not use our time to support our own vision and further our own goals. So it's easy for me to say, oh, that doesn't sound like a Ford, because everyone in my family is highly driven. But this is what I find useful. When I want to take something seriously, I assume that what I'm reading is true, and then I ask, how is it true? How does it apply for me? So let me reread this, time indifference, because that doesn't sound like me. Normally, I'm a very focus-driven person. We put off what must be done and do not use our time to support our own vision and to further our own goals. So when I've had a vision and goals, time indifference has not been a major thing in my life. But there have been times for months and even years when I've struggled to find my way. So when I'm not clear about my goals and my vision, then I have been indifferent to time and spent way too much time watching Netflix. Okay. But when I've had goals and visions, they've often been for careers and jobs that are not economically sustainable. Okay? For example, I trained to be an Alexander Technique teacher. There are maybe half a dozen Alexander Technique teachers in the world who are making their primary living from the Alexander Technique without any support from family, friends, and inheritance, a spouse. Okay? It's not really a career that is going to support a normal person. It works best as a second career and adjunct. So all the years that I put in trying to build my own practice that would be my full-time source of income, that was a delusion. Okay, teaching the Alexander Technique, generally speaking, is not a way to make a living for yourself that's going to pay the bills for you, for your family. It's generally speaking, it's not going to happen. And there are also lots of other jobs and visions and goals that you may be working for that are simply not economically viable. So if you are being very disciplined, working hard towards your vision for something that's not economically viable, you're still wasting your time. Okay, symptom number 2 of underearning, idea deflection. We compulsively reject ideas that could expand our lives or careers and increase our profitability. So do you find yourself just compulsively rejecting ideas? For me, I've been so insecure most of my life, that if I was feeling particularly insecure, I just couldn't hear what anyone else was saying. I kind of walled myself off because I was so afraid of the pain that would come from opening myself up to new ideas and realizing how stupid I've been. So it was easier for me to be like a wounded animal. Okay, what do wounded animals do? They go into a cave and they hide. If anyone tries to reach in there and drag them out of the cave, what does the wounded animal do? They bite. Okay, so if you have a habit of hiding and biting, probably an underearner. And when you're hiding and biting, you definitely have idea deflection. What is the premise for how to heal it? It starts with admitting that you've got a problem, and then probably starts with taking action, such as getting this Jerry Mundis book, Earn What You Deserve, and then finding 12-step program like Underearners Anonymous or Debtors Anonymous. I always fail to ask for a raise. I just switch jobs. It's a symptom of underearning. Underearning serious. Underearning may very well kill you. I'm not a big rugby fan, Sargon. It just seems gay. Okay, back to the 12 symptoms of underearnings. Compulsive need to prove. Wow, I've had this big time over the course of my life. Although we have demonstrated competence in our jobs or business, we are driven by a need to reprove our worth and value. So it was always really important to me to be a big shot, to have a very publicly visible career, to be on television a lot, to appear in newspapers and magazines, to just kind of prove to the world that I matter. It's compensation for growing up in foster care and feeling as a young child that I didn't matter. So my maladaptive way of coping with that is, you're going to see how much I matter. I'm going to stream on YouTube 9 hours a day. So I've always sought careers that were highly visible, would get me a maximum amount of attention because of my compulsive need to prove. Symptom 4, clinging to useless possessions. We hold on to possessions that no longer serve our needs, such as threadbare clothing or broken appliances. So you can start doing some possession consciousness, some cleaning up, some throwing away or giving away of broken appliances or possessions that no longer serve you. You will feel lighter and happier. 6, giving away our time. We compulsively volunteer for various causes or give away our services without charge when there is no clear benefit. So when I didn't have clarity, when I didn't have firm goals about where I wanted to go, then I was much more liable to just give away my time without advancing my goals and without being appreciated often for what I was giving. 7, undervaluing and underpricing. We undervalue our abilities and services. We are asking for increases in compensation for what the market will bear. Yeah, I've never asked for a raise in my life. I'm a classic underearner. 8, isolation. We choose to work alone when it might serve us much better to have co-workers, associates, or employees. I've actually been offered raises and said, oh, I didn't deserve that. Then isolation, yeah, that's certainly applied to me. We choose to work alone when it might serve us much better to have co-workers, associates, or employees. I worked for home for about 12 years as a blogger from 1997 to about 2009. Not sure that served me. 9, physical ailments. Sometimes out of fear of being larger or exposed, we experience physical ailments. So let's say you sign up to do a stand-up comedy class, and every time that class is scheduled, you start to feel sick, and then as soon as time for that class is over, you miraculously recover. Or you sign up for a class to learn Excel or Microsoft Word or to become a paralegal. And when it comes time to actually do the work, show up to class, so you get a headache. So if you have a fear of being larger and exposed, such as going to a party or a social gathering, and you go, oh, I got a little bit of a sore throat, I'm going to stay home. You may have these physical ailments that arise out of a fear of being prosperous, out of a fear of being seen. 10, misplaced guilt or shame. We feel uneasy when asking for or being given what we need or what we are owed. Yeah. When I would have prosperous jobs and prosperous income, part of me would feel uneasy that I wasn't deserving. And in the end, if you're willing to sell yourself short, there are no end of people who will take advantage. 11, not following up. We do not follow up on opportunities, leads, or jobs that could be profitable. We begin many projects and tasks, but often do not complete them. And 12, stability, boredom. We create unnecessary conflict with coworkers, supervisors, and clients, generating problems that result in financial distress. So these are the 12 symptoms of underearning, according to Underearners Anonymous, a program which emerged out of Debtors Anonymous circa 2005. And it was in large part inspired by this book, Earn What You Deserve by Jerry Mundis. And now there are meetings around the world. There are phone meetings almost every hour of the day. So what are some of the tools to combat underearning? And remember, the tools in a 12-step program will help you find relief. But to get recovery, you have to work the 12 steps. Anyway, but the basic tools, the number one tool is the reciprocal of the number one ailment. The number one ailment is for underearning is time indifference. So the number one tool is time recording. And we must be conscious of how we spend our time. We keep a written record to increase awareness and support our focus on goals and the actions required to achieve them. 2, meetings. We attend Underearners Anonymous meetings regularly to share our experience, strength, and hope in order to help ourselves and help others recover from underearning. Sponsorship. We actively seek sponsorship with someone who's worked the 12 steps in UA is willing to guide us in our recovery. So many of these tools are the same in all sorts of different 12-step programs. And then some of them are unique. Possession consciousness. We routinely discard what no longer serves us. Foster a belief that life is plentiful. We'll be able to provide ourselves with what we need. And you'll find elaborations on many of these tools in this book by Jerry Mundis. Service. Giving service is vital for our recovery. It is through service to others and to the fellowship that we keep what has been so generously given to us. 6, goals pages. We set goals for all aspects of our lives, write them down, measure our progress, and reward achievement. 7, action meetings. We organize action meetings with other UA members to discuss our earning concerns and to generate actions or bring more prosperity into our lives. Action partner. We connect regularly with action partners regarding earning concerns in order to provide each other with accountability, continuity, and support. 9, solvency. We do not debt. One day at a time. Debting leads to underearning. 10, communication. Contact other UA members to seek support, to diminish isolation, and to reinforce our commitments to action. 11, literature. We read 12-step literature to strengthen our understanding of this compulsive disease and the process of recovery. And 12, savings. Saving money demonstrates faith in the future, acceptance of the fact that money is a tool vital to our prosperous vision. We create and follow a savings plan on whatever scale we're able. So those are the basics of the 12 major tools of Underearners Anonymous. Not Power says, I'll hold on to things because I don't know if I'll be able to afford replacements, so my house is cluttered. Dude, get this book, work this book. See, that book, Earn What You Deserve, causes me anxiety. So I've always been told that no one owes me anything. Might need to pick up this book. Have I done 23andMe? No, I haven't. Man, everyone wants me to pop in there with some Alexander technique, but I want to talk about the disease of underearning. Underearning has to do with money, not with abstractions, emotions, or anything else. With money and bringing in repeatedly less than you need. Underearning is not about bringing in less love than you need, or getting less recreation than you need, or not spending enough time on your art. Okay, what are the characteristics of underearners according to this book? So this author lists 19 characteristics of underearners. 1, underearners are usually in debt. 2, underearners have little savings and few assets. 3, underearners are often in financial crisis. 4, underearners feel pain, stress, and fear over money. 6, underearners do a lot of unpaid work. They volunteer, they do stuff for charities and showcase work. 6, underearners often come from alcoholic or otherwise troubled families. 7, underearners may resent people with money. 8, underearners are good at finding enablers. 9, underearners only have a vague idea of what their expenses are. 10, underearners are workaholics or work in cycles of excess and collapse or don't want to work at all. 11, underearners see the gross, not the net. 12, underearners may think there is spiritual or political virtue in not having money. 13, underearners are proud of their ability to make do with little. 14, underearners believe their occupation won't allow them to make more money. 15, underearners often have clothes and other possessions that are old, worn out, or insufficient. 16, underearners feel that eventually something will happen to make things better. 17, underearners fill their free time with endless little tasks and chores instead of working towards their vision. 18, underearners fear spending money, feel resentful when they must, but sometimes go on buying binges. 19, underearners believe money would cure all their problems. So how many of those symptoms do you guys have? At one point in my life, I certainly had debt. I had over $50,000 in credit card debt. I had no savings and few assets. I had a lot of financial crises over the past 25 years. Often felt pain, stress, and fear over money. Did a lot of unpaid work. I won't comment on how troubled my family was. I don't think I've resented people with money. I became good at finding enablers. I was always pretty clear about my expenses. I certainly did work in cycles of excess and collapse. I have been proud of my ability to make do with little. I have believed that my occupation would not allow me to make more money. I've often had clothes and other possessions that were old, worn out, and insufficient. I often dreamed that something would come along to make things better. I have at times gone on buying binges, and I've often thought that money would solve all my problems. So I've got almost all the characteristics listed in this book. I feel like this drive for achieving and earning is a poor urban substitute for loss of connection with the community and land. I don't see a rural guy reflecting on it. Believe me, plenty of rural people live in crippling poverty, crippling underearners, crippling isolation, crippling hiding and biting, crippling lack of vision and goals, crippling lack of connection, crippling lack of possession consciousness. How much money do you think would satisfy your soul, Luke? I earn 6 figures, so I'm happy with that. Of course, I'd like to make more money, but 6 figures enables me to live comfortably. What do I mean debting leads to under-earning? I thought it led to a new luxury home or car vacations, which enhances lifestyle. Well, debting just starts you in a very destructive downward cycle. And you become increasingly worried about money. You have to pay interest on your debts. which reduces your available income, and it's a very destructive act. Cycling between being a workaholic and not wanting to work at all describes me 100%. Also, massive student debt. Dude, you've got to get into Underearners Anonymous. And think about which addiction you have that will kill you first. Like if you're exposing yourself in parks, then go to Sex Addicts Anonymous, deal with that first. If you're binging on alcohol, go to Alcoholics Anonymous. If you're eating so much food that it threatens your life, then go to a food addiction program. But if this is your primary problem, then ask yourself, are you primarily a debtor, or do you debt because you underearn? So if you're primarily a debtor, then make Debtors Anonymous your priority. If you're primarily an underearner, then make Underearners Anonymous your priority. And get on it today. Go to the websites, read the symptoms, start a journal, write about how the symptoms apply to you. Not so much to understand the disease, but you have to spot it when it manifests in your life. So does giving a friend money with no expectation of repayment a symptom? I'm not sure. I don't know on that one. Does he talk about the common qualities of overowners? I haven't finished reading this book, so. Rune says it can be really hard having low-wage jobs in the US. Yeah, but it can also be just really hard anywhere in the world if you're a compulsive underearner. Travis says alcohol has always been my weakness. Then you might want to check out Alcoholics Anonymous. And Rolf has jumped between alcohol, gambling, porn. Okay, well, you might want to tackle whichever one is most likely to kill you first. Hail our people. Hail Tony Robbins. Hail solvency. I love this homegrown jihadic terrorist. I mean, everything this guy says is funny and smart. Okay, can I go over the debt chapter? Well, this guy has got a whole book on debting. So you can get the book for like $5 from Kindle. So just go to Amazon.com, look up Gerald Mundis. That's Jerrold, Mundis, Mundis. Check out his book on debting, or just go to my website, lukeford.net. I link to it at the top. Okay, Rune says, I'm off watching porn. It wasn't good for me, and I don't drink alcohol or use tobacco. Okay, so you may be sober, but you may not have recovery. You may be what's called a dry drunk. So just quitting your addiction does not equal recovery, and it does not equal prosperity. You need a fundamental change of one's character, the destruction of the ego at depth. Aren't religious people supposed to live in poverty? Well, certainly not in my religion of Judaism. Okay, I know quite a few Jews who earn more than $1 million a year. They're quite religious. They give a tremendous amount of money to charity. They do a lot of good in the community. The more money that you have, the more good you can do in the world. Can you demonstrate the Alexander technique for making it rain dollar bills at the strippers? Urban life requires more stuff to have a fulfilling life. Going fishing or taking a stroll through the woods with your dog is better than fancy apartments and furniture. Travis, I like drinking, but I need to control it more. If you have an addiction, you're not going to control it. So I know you're not going to listen to me. So you'll just keep going. And then as the pain mounts up, eventually the pain will become so severe that you see quitting drinking will be less painful than to continue to engage in an activity that you can't control. And Not Power says, I have addiction. Yes, my parents guilt me about everything. I can't say no to them even as I get on in age. Then you really need the Al-Anon program. Al-Anon is the best program for learning how to get along with other people. So let's talk about vision. Do you have a vision? Do you have concrete goals? So define your vision, define 3 to 5 goal categories, identify separate actions for each goal. So what are the key ingredients of your vision? What are the concepts, the principles, the values, and the material ingredients and the manifestations? List them, define the terms for yourself, write out a vision statement. And then establish broad categories for tracking your time. So vision towards how much time you want to spend for earning, for service to other people, for self-care, for recreation, for family and friends. Write a brief goal statement for each goal category. List all goals under a particular category. So you can have goals that are earning related, that are service related, that are regeneration, such as spirituality, self-care, home care, learning, and goals for creative work, such as painting, writing, YouTube streaming. And it's best if you have partners that you can talk to every day, and so that you can tell each other what you're working on that day and how far you've gone towards meeting your goals for that day. And then if you get a sponsor or you start to work the steps, so step 1 in any program is admitting that you got a problem. So in Underearning, you want to come to the conclusion, realize that you are powerless over your compulsive underearning, that your life has become unmanageable. And you got to come to the place where you understand that you cannot control your compulsive underearning or your compulsive drinking or your compulsive use of porn. And so you need to get clear about the damage that your compulsion has caused in your life. So read chapters 1 and 3 of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Simply substitute whatever is your destructive addiction for alcohol in this text. And then start writing. How has your compulsive underearning or porn use placed you or the lives of other people in jeopardy? Get specific. Have you ever sold yourself short in work and business situations? Explain. Get detailed. Get specific. How have you tried to control your compulsive underearning? By, say, switching from job to job, going on public assistance programs, relying on family or friends to enable you? Have you used other people? Have you sought Social Security, disability, and government assistance programs using credit cards? What behavior did your family, friends, or co-workers object to most? Write it down. What have other people? Write down what other people have told you in regards to your underearning, your irresponsible behavior to do with earning money, paying your way through life, spending. How many times have you tried to stop underearning and start it again? List the last 3 times. When, why, and for how long were you able to stay solvent? Give a history of your underearning. Just write an essay out on the history of your underearning. So progression indicates tolerance and changes in your mind. So symptoms include your use of underearning, debting, avoidance of bringing in money in larger amounts, switch to stronger toxic thoughts, use for longer periods of time, increased tolerance. There's examples of your progression of your compulsive underearning disease. Vagueness is periods of times that are not registered in the memory of the brain. There's 2 examples of times that you are aware you are hiding in the cave. 9, numbing out is underearning. So much so that your body and mind slow down and you'll not be able to create more prosperity. There's 3 examples of embarrassing times that you numbed out in the cave rather than participated in life. List the 3 most embarrassing or shameful things you've done related to your compulsive underearning. How many crimes have you committed during your compulsive underearning? How many times have you stolen things? How many times did you steal things on the job? How many times have you lied and cheated? Have you ever been arrested for anything related directly or indirectly to your compulsive underearning? List dates, crimes, and other pending legal matters. What types of physical problems do you have as a result of your compulsive underearning? Preoccupation means living in fantasy, means looking forward to something so much that you're not paying attention to your obligations in the moment, means taking work that doesn't serve you, debting, setting yourself up for codependent situations. So give 2 examples of your preoccupation with lack and deprivation. Powerlessness. What exactly are you powerless over? Not meaning that you never have power in this category, but what do you not have predictable power over in your life? So powerless can be best defined as times when we did not want to take low-paying work or wanted to limit our usage of our underearning, but we were powerless over our addiction and we lost control. Give 5 examples of specific instances. Some common times are holidays, weddings, family occasions, business, employment, clients. List the approximate date, reasons why you wanted to stop underearning, what happened, what were the consequences of your disease of underearning. List all the actions, methods, and ideas that you've taken on to try to solve this problem of underearning. List the people, credit card companies, families, friends, relationships, public programs you have used to try to solve your compulsive underearning. Do you believe that you can continue to debt, to take work that does not pay you what you are worth, or stay with jobs and clients that do not serve you any longer? At its worst level, how long have you been underearning throughout your life ever since you were born? Find a paragraph in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous which best describes your powerlessness. Unmanageability refers to the damage done by our compulsive underearning addiction. This disease affects every aspect of our lives, every area. There's 2 examples where your addiction caused damage in the following areas of your life. 1, with your love life. 2, with your parents. 3, with your children. 4, with other family members, with friends. What about with social activities? You're standing in the community, at work, with property, in the sexual arena, inappropriate sex. How has your compulsive underearning negatively affected your spirituality or religious life? How has your addiction to compulsive underearning affected your ability to identify and express your feelings? Because you're so ashamed, you had to bottle things up. What personality changes did you experience as a result of underearning? Did you experience the Jekyll and Hyde effect? How much time have you wasted, on average, per week? What other expenses have you incurred as a result of your debting and underearning? Given the number of years that you've been debting and underearning, what potential income have you lost? What crisis, beside the one that got you into 12-step program, would have eventually happened? So what are the crises that you are heading for currently because of your emotional compulsions? Defense mechanisms. List your defense mechanisms. Things that you tell yourself in your mind that make it okay to continue to debt and to underearn. List specific quotes of statements you have made to yourself, to other people, thoughts, situations relating to each of the following defense mechanisms. Temper tantrums, fighting, yelling, threatening anyone over your problems with debting and underearning, and how you rely on other people to rescue you. So that's just an example of a step 1 worksheet. Luke, is it normal to not know what one is doing after high school? Absolutely. But you want to get clear about what you'd love to do. Get clear about what your values are, what your vision is, and what your goals are. What do you call it where if we're trying to improve and trying to do better and no one remembers us when we die? Well, you need to feel vitally important and connected with other people right now. So that's why it's good to join a 12-step program. Then you get to know other people and you support each other. You have people who care about you and people that you care about. And so you get connected. And everything good that you want in your life is going to come to you through other people. It's going to come to you through the quality of your connection. So basically, the quality of your life equals the quality of your connections with other people. What is the end goal of earning? To live a prosperous life, to live your vision, to live a passionate, exciting, fulfilling life. Homegrown says, this kind of rampantly capitalist discussion would never have been allowed to happen on the alt-right if Matt Heimbach had just drawn his curtains. Varg, Sticks, and Luke are some of my favorite YouTubers. They all have good advice from different perspectives, but somehow they all correlate. Luke, you've admitted to deviance in the past. No, I haven't had that particular fetish. Are there 12-step programs for anti-Semites? I'm sure there are anti-Semites in every single 12-step program, but I'm not aware of any one specific program just for anti-Semites. What about working in an industry where you produce time-wasting activities or addictive experiences for other people, like the video game industry or Hollywood? Well, it depends. Like, I don't think the video gaming is inherently destructive. I'm sure it is for some people, but I don't think overall, in most cases, it plays a destructive role in people's lives. Making TV, I think it depends on the quality of the program that you're making. So if it's a higher quality program, then you'll have more reason to feel proud. And if it's a trashy program, you'll have less reason to feel proud. What is Luke's take on peeping Tom nationalism? It sounds destructive. Earn enough to buy some land and become as self-sufficient as possible. Well, okay. It sounds like a life of hiding and biting. But congrats on having your own potato field. So absolutely necessary to accept you're an under-earner, because you're not going to get help until you do. And so you may want to get clear about your under-earning problem. Time to admit that it's there, admit that you're not unique, that millions of other people have the same problem. Surrender doesn't mean sentencing yourself to a life of poverty and difficulty. Just the opposite. It's your first step on the road to freedom. Things not to do. Do not debt. Do not take work that pays less than what you need. Become clear about your expenses. And become aware of the symptoms of under-earning, not so that you can analyze this disease, but so you can spot it when you're in that under-earning mentality. Do not say no to money. Do not evade it. Do not avoid it. Do not deflect it. Let money into your life. Money that meets the first two criteria. Money that is not debt. Money that isn't less than what you need. Would you be willing to stand up in front of a room full of strangers and tell them exactly how much money you made last year and how much you owe? You might need a community. What do you have to be grateful for? Just list them off. That always puts you in a positive mindset. I like to keep a gratitude journal every day. Okay. Right under the heading Underearning, and beneath it, list all the ways you can think of in which you actively or passively under-earned over the past 12 months. Yes, this is the traditionalist under-earners party. Okay, so write out in the chat room right now some of the ways that you have under-earned in the past 12 months. I want to see it. Wow, Hussein owes 140,000 and he makes 3K a month net. Dude, get this book. Have you sought work for which you're not qualified? Have you spent a lot of time on projects that aren't going to make you money, significant money? Have you incurred unnecessary heavy expenses? Have you told a prospective client you didn't know how to do what he wanted to hire you for? Have you exhausted yourself during non-working hours? Have you refused to work? Have you given more time to your job than you were being paid to give? Did you quit your job without having a new source of income? Travis, you've got to get this book, dude. Making $11.50 an hour. Don't live like that, dude. Don't live like that. You've got to get this book. It'll cost you $5. No. Your spouse got unemployed, so it is what it is? No. It's time to get out of the cave, get into prosperity. Have you remained in a job that didn't pay enough to meet your needs or barely paid you just barely enough? Travis, this is you. You've got to get something better. You've got to do better. Have you been repeatedly late to work, frustrating your employer and jeopardizing your position? Have you taken frequent mornings, afternoons, or even whole days off? Have you failed to ask for help or advice? Have you spent money you didn't have, using a credit card, going to your overdraft? Have you let other people support you? Chris says, Luke, do you have an affiliate link to Amazon? No, I couldn't be bothered. Okay. Once you finish this list, now make a second list, and this second list will be easier. Adam says, do you think it's important to derive meaning from your work or work because the money is good, even if you find it meaningless? Finding meaning in your work is nice, but once you get spiritually aligned, you will find meaning in all work that is not antisocial or illegal or immoral. So when you go to work, when you realize you're going to work not to serve your boss, but to serve God, then you're not going to find your work meaningless. So yeah, it's a bonus if you love your work, okay? But that's not terribly important. So don't go putting off good jobs because they seem boring to you. Once you get in the mindset, the reason you go to work is to serve other people, that you're going to help God's kids, that your boss isn't really your boss, but your boss is God. You're not going to suffer from this problem of there's no meaning in my work, okay? The reason to go to work, the reason to get up in the morning is to be of service to other people. The reason for me to do these streams is to be of service to other people. Okay, if I didn't feel like I was being of service to other people, I wouldn't be streaming so much. I'd be doing something else. When you are passionate and fired up about being of service to other people, and you want to help God's kids, then you'll emerge from your cave and you will find more meaning in your work. You will orient yourself to being of service to other people, and as a consequence, you'll lead an increasingly prosperous life. The way to prosperity is to be of service to other people. Did I get rich writing my first book, A History of X? I think I made about $1,500. Corey says, I don't find any special meaning in my work. My purpose is to provide. Corey, the reason you go to work is to help other people. When you truly understand that and live that and realize that your boss is God and you're working for God, you'll find special meaning in your work. Okay, now second list. You'll find this a lot easier. Write down all the ways other people you know underearn. Come write it out in chat. What are things that you're seeing other people do that is underearning? For example, setting low fees, low rates, insisting on getting things their own way, employing unproductive employees. Get creative at everything you can think of, claiming that emotional problems prevent one from working, arguing constantly with coworkers and supervisors, which results in never being promoted, not honoring commitments. What are traits that you see that are underearning in other people? You should get to the point where you can just smell underearning immediately, and you're just going to want to shy away from those people. Is there such a thing as burnout from work? Absolutely. Absolutely. But if you realize you're working for God, you're much less likely to burn out. So take a look at these lists. They're probably a lot longer than you would have imagined. And they all add up to the same thing, under-earning. Okay, now list off everything that you learned about earning when you were growing up. Make a list, and then make another list on everything that was modeled to you about earning money growing up. So you can get clear about the imprints that you have in your mind about earning, because probably many of these imprints do not serve you. List 5 emotions you have about money. List the first 7 declarative statements that come into your mind about money. For example, there's never enough of it, or I don't know what to do with it. Typical statements about money. I try and try, but nothing ever works out. I don't know what to do. I want to scream at people with money. Life is not fair. I'm too old, too worn out to make it. It's hopeless. I can't make enough. Write out the definitive statements in your mind about money so you get clear about what is your imprint in your mind with regard to earning. When negative beliefs are backed up by powerful negative emotions, they tend to be self-fulfilling to create their own reality in your life. That's why it's important for you to know what is really going on within you. Ruled by such beliefs, but only partly aware of them, or even not at all aware, you will have a difficult time liberating yourself from under-earning. Then write things you could do to change my emotions around money. There's 7 things you could do to change your emotions about money. Let your imagination run free. You do not have to do any of these. The point is only to show yourself there are ways to change, ways you never even realized or considered before. Write down 10 things you could do to change your beliefs or attitudes about money or about yourself in relationship to money, such as make more money, meditate, talk to people who do not under-earn, talk to people who have freed themselves from under-earning, watch some comedy, read spiritual literature, have a lot of sex. Things you could do to change your beliefs. Go into therapy, work a 12-step program on money, take a vacation, go fishing, learn about money, join a society or a group, write affirmations, take responsibility for your own situation. Write the heading on a notepad, 100 ways I could bring more money in. Under it, list 100 ways you could do that, from the realistic to the fanciful, even the farcical. Remember, you do not have to do any of these. Let your imagination run wild. Be as free and improbable as you can. You'll discover that one idea that triggers another. To your surprise, you'll probably find that in only 10 to 20 minutes, you'll come up with many more ideas than you could have ever thought possible. Not all of these ideas will be feasible, of course, but just write down 100 ways you could bring in more money. And then as a correlate, you could write out 50 ways I could cut expenses. And then you could write out ways I could get something I need without debting. So just a few thoughts on under-earning. Bye-bye.